Hey guys, I'm back and we are working in the textbook. It is Adobe InDesign Creative Cloud by Chris Botello. It's the Revealed series and we're on page 6-31. We're going to go to page 6 in our document that we have open, continuing on with that exercise. We are going to select the frame with the cartoon dog illustration, which is right here. We're going to select the frame, and then we're going to click the wrap around object shape button on the text wrap panel. So you want to bring up the window and down to text wrap, and again we're going to wrap around the object shape. Now when the dialog box comes up, you want to click the wrap to list arrow. We're going to click both left and right sides, both right and left sides, sorry. And then in the contour options section, we're going to click the type list arrow and say select detect edges. And then in the upper section of the panel, we're going to set the top offset value to 0.1875. And there you go. Compare your page to mine on the screen or the image 32 in the textbook on page 631, and we can close out. Save this work, don't close it yet. Command S. All right, now going on in lesson, chapter 6, we're going to start working with removing a background from an already placed graphic. So we're going to go back up here to page 1. I don't know why I continue to try to double click it. I know it's not going to work, but anyway. All right, we're going to click the center of the page to select that big graphics. Then we're going to place the graphic named Blake.psd. So we're going to go to File and Place. And we're going to go to for Blake. I'm sure Blake is here someplace. If not in this one, we'll. And here's Blake.psd, and click Open. And then we are going to go to Object on the menu bar. We're going to point to Clipping Path, and then we're going to go to Options and move this over so you can see it a little bit. We're going to click the Type List arrow and then click Detect Edges. And then we're going to click the Preview checkbox to make sure that you're able to see the changes. And the Detect Edges option instructs InDesign to create a clipping path around the object. How cool is that? InDesign uses the threshold and the tolerance sliders in conjunction with the given image to define where that path will be positioned in relation to the image. So you'll see here that based on the threshold and the tolerance, half of the dog is selected. Now we are going to drag the threshold and the tolerance sliders to 0. And then the threshold slider finds the light areas of the image and makes them transparent, starting with white. So at 0, no pixels are made invisible. The further that we move the slider to the right, the more the darker ones are included in the areas that are made invisible. That's why it's a smart idea to start with the threshold set to 0. Now we're going to drag the threshold slider slowly right until the entire background disappears. I'm at about 64. In the textbook it says that it needs to be set as high as 53, so I'm going to see what happens if I back it off a little bit. It's about there, just about the same. Note how many anchor points are on the brown clipping path, and there are a ton of anchor points, indicating that they've drawn a very tight line around that. Now we're going to slowly drag the tolerance slider all the way to the right. We're going to stop along the way to view the effect on the path. And you can see as we go further into the right, it starts getting further into the dark pixels in the image. Remember, 0 starting at white. The tolerance slider defines how many points are used to draw the path and therefore how accurately the path is drawn. As shown in figure 39, at a very high tolerance, the path is no longer articulate enough to differentiate the dog from the background. So we drag the tolerance slider to 0, click OK. We're going to deselect, and then we're going to do a Command or Control S to save the file. Actually, I did not do that right. We're going to go back up here to clipping path to have that selected. Oh, for heaven's sakes, you have to have it selected with the black arrow. Go up to Object, go down to Clipping Path and Options. We're going to move the threshold to about 53, and then the tolerance over to 10. And you can see the impact that that has then on the way that the line is drawn around the pup. I'm going to back that off a bit so that we can get a little bit better of a clipping path with the dog. And it takes it almost, it has to be almost at 0 before, well, it does have to be at 0 before you actually get a good path around the dog. Then we're going to do, now we're going to click OK. Then we're going to click a Command S or Control S to save the file. All right, now we're loading alpha channels in InDesign. We're going to go to page 7. And then we're going to click the center of the page to select the graphics frame. Again, I'm going to make sure I've got the black selection tool. Select the graphics frame. And looking at figures 41, 42, and 43, observe that figure 41 shows a Photoshop file that's been saved with 2 alpha channels. Figures 42 and 43 show the 2 alpha channels in detail. So we're going to go to File on the menu bar. We're going to click Place. And then we're going to navigate to the drive-in folder where the data files are stored. We're going to place Red Silo with alpha channels. Of course it wouldn't be in this same file. And here's the Red Silo with alpha channels. We're going to go to Object on the menu bar. We're going to point to Fitting, and then over to Fit Content Proportionally. We're going to go to Object on the menu bar again. We're going to point to Clipping Path. Sorry. And then we're going to go over to Options. We're going to verify that the preview checkbox is on, which it is, and then we're going to click the Type List arrow, and we're going to click the Alpha List channel. And click OK. Now we're going to go to Object on the menu items again, over to Clipping Path, and then over to Options. We're going to click the Alpha channel. And then we're going to pick the alpha list arrow, down facing arrow, and we're going to click whole body. And again, these are again alpha channels that were saved in Photoshop. I'm going to click off to deselect, and then we're going to go over to the bottom of our toolbox and we're going to click on preview to see what the image actually looks like. All right, then we're going to load a clipping path in InDesign. So we are going to get the selection tool. We're going to go to page 1. We're going to click the direct selection tool. We're going to select the graphic and then we're going to delete it. We're going to get the selection tool for the frame. We're going to select the empty graphics frame and then we're going to place puppies. So we're going to go to File and Place. We're going to look for puppies.psd and we're going to open that. Go to Object on the menu bar, point to Fitting, and then over to Fill Frame Proportionally. We're going to go to Object on the menu bar. We're going to point to Clipping Path, to Options. We're going to verify that the preview box is checked. And then we're going to click the Type list arrow, and we're going to find Photoshop Path. And this is creating a path so we've created in Photoshop. And then we're going to do Blake Alone. And then click OK. And your page should resemble page number figure 46 or mine on the screen. Then again, we're going to go to Object on the menu bar. We're going to point to Clipping Path and over to Options again. We're going to click the Path list arrow. And we're going to click Rex Alone. And as you see, then the other dog is by himself. Then we're going to go back to the path list arrow, down facing arrow, and we're going to click Blake and Rex, and then click OK. We're going to deselect all and compare your page to figure 47 or mine on the screen. And I think we've had just about enough in terms of time here, so I'm going to sign off now. There's only a couple of other, including the library demos that I could potentially do. At this point in time, I won't do them, but if you have a request or having difficulty with the library, please either text me or email me, and I'll be happy to do a couple of other demos. Thanks. Have a great day.